Of course, the whole country, perhaps the whole world, is talking about the Trayvon Martin situation in Florida. 17-year-old boy, black boy, was murdered several weeks ago by George Zimmerman, a volunteer security person in Florida. And the question is, was it racism? Was it self-defense, second-degree murder, etc.? Fascinating case. A lot of questions about what happened, and that's not what we're here to talk about. Not talking about whether it was correct, whether it was just, justice will be served, jury trial, etc. Not really the question. But the question I have today is about clothing. And clothing is a fascinating topic, and perhaps that had something to do with it. And it brings out the question of whether clothing makes the man. Does clothing make the man? Does the fact that Trayvon Martin was wearing a hoodie, does that mean that he was correct to be under suspicion? Was George Zimmerman correct by saying, look, here's a 17-year-old kid walking around, doesn't seem to have much to do, looking around the place, and he's wearing a hoodie? And a lot has been said, and a lot has been spoken about whether that really matters. It's a great question. In Judaism, we're taught not to judge. Don't judge prematurely. Judge a person by the man who he is. However, isn't it right when you're walking down the street and you see, let's say, 4 men in suits, ties, briefcases, etc., walking on one side, and the other side of the street are same age fellows, 4 people wearing t-shirts and bandanas, and they look more like gangsters than the other one? Wouldn't you also walk on the side of the street of the man with the suits and the briefcases? And let's say you found out that those fellows with the suits and briefcases were black and the other ones were white. It's certainly not a question of race. It's a question of clothing. When I see a certain type of clothing, my internal threat meter does increase. That's just the way it is. I think it's a healthy suspicion. It's a healthy concern that a person has. Clothing does matter. Our sages tell us that the Jewish people, even in Egypt, never changed their style of clothes. The way they wore their clothes was the same, and that's part of what kept them as a people. Does clothing make the man? Of course not. Clothing doesn't make the man, but it does make a statement. It says something about who you are. It says something about whether other people are looking at you in the same way, in the correct way, and the way you want to be seen. The Trayvon Martin case, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but it has brought out an important point, and that is clothing matters. Perhaps you disagree. Maybe you say we're wrong to judge people by their clothing. We should be a little bit more savvy. We should be more concerned and more interested in who the people are and fight that inclination to judge by the person's clothing. Tell us what you think in the comment section below. Something really to think about.